Thank you, Senator Lucio. Senator Menendez, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, it was only just last year that the city of San Antonio celebrated its 300 years of history. And here we are 1 year later in the Texas Senate, where we've chosen to take that history away from us. The majority voting to use our state sovereignty to promote its own vision, ignoring the sovereignty of the vote of San Antonians. Ironically, the state of Texas wasn't really involved with the Alamo up until the last 5 or 6 years. The state only recently invested in it, and yet now the Senate majority claims our desires here are more important than those of those in San Antonio who've worked on this Alamo issue for decades. Sir Creighton, you know, I don't get a chance to visit Conroe often, but I would imagine that if I were to come and visit and tell you that while I believe that many of those there in Conroe believe the genesis of our Lone Star flag was there, created in Conroe, but what if I were to say that we knew better here in the Texas Senate and that we should choose how and what to display at the Lone Star Monument and Historical Flag Park? You and your constituents may not want to welcome me back as a visitor again. This body has long respected the importance of local senators speaking on behalf of their constituents. We have a local calendar that allows us to defer to one another, local prerogatives, and yet today we've decided to set a precedent that ignores this important value. These decisions will not only affect us, but future senates, future senators, and our constituents. The Alamo defenders you spoke of fought for many things, but pleasing a baseless fear of conspirators was not one of them. We can vote to protect statues, but the vote will diminish the stature of this body. You can protect monuments, but however, I believe we should choose to build something greater. A diverse and strong state, united on our love of Texas, not beholden to the days gone past that reflect a dark history. You spoke of a statesman who once stood up to segregationists and separatists and was removed from office for it. We all know his name was Sam Houston. And Houston was not a perfect man or politician, but he knew a bad vote when he saw it, and history proved him right. Yes, we must remember our history, Senator Creighton, you're correct. But must we be ruled by the history written by those who came before us? I believe we should create a more inclusive history, one with more inclusive spaces for all Texans. The people of San Antonio did not vote to demolish the cenotaph. They voted to support a vision of the Alamo that depicts the battlefield and its history as it was in 1836. The cenotaph was not sitting on the battlefield. Additionally, the memorials proclaim a vision of the South that ignores the fact that 4 million slaves were Southerners too, deserving of representation. When people now say that monuments reflect the history of the South, it is my opinion that they're excluding black Southerners from the story of the South they choose to venerate. I'll close quoting Mayor Mitch Landrieu. Monuments purposely celebrate a fictional, sanitized Confederacy, ignoring the death, the enslavement, and the terror that it actually stood for. After the Civil War, statues were a part of the terrorism. As much as burning a cross on someone's lawn, they were erected purposely to send a strong message to all who walked in their shadows about who was still in charge. Members, it is one thing to remember our history, but it is a whole other thing to celebrate the leaders of our racist past. That's why I choose to vote against this poorly written bill. Thank you, Mr. President, members.